set. She's been with me before. But first, I want to thank our sponsors, Life Application Ministries, www.lifeapplicationministries.org, PTL Property Solutions with my good friend Tammy at 1-844-56-TAMMY, VW Realty Services, Sutter Creek at www.williamsrealestatetoday.com, and Nature's Own Way in I Own with my friend Tanya Barger, a consultant of natural health at 209-304-1823. And so thank you again, all those that support this program. We're going to be continuing talking with Steve for a moment, and we're going to bring Katie into the conversation. But wasn't I going to ask you a question? What was that question I was going to ask you?
About sharing your faith?
Yes, that was a good one. That's a good question to ask. So that's what you teach. Do you teach that as well at these workshops on how to talk to people?
Part of the life coaching class that we're running includes me encouraging the people to practice sharing their faith, because a lot of times we are hesitant. When the Holy Spirit nudges us to speak to the person at Walmart, we often have excuses not to talk to that person at Walmart. And so we practice. So we partner up, and you have 90 seconds, and you tell your story.
Well, it reminds me, I have to tell you the story. This is a funny story. A merry heart does good like a medicine, so we need a little fun. Okay, so here I am at a thrift store in Jackson, I think. And this guy, he was like walking around, like limping. His back was hurting him, So I thought, wow, I think I'm going to go pray for the guy, right? How exciting. I'm going to be bold and courageous. And I was testing myself out, to see if I can do this. So I walked up to him and I just said, sir? He goes, yes. And I said, you don't look like you're really walking very well. Could I pray for you? No. I go, oh, okay, thank you very much. Turn around, okay, what do I do? So, you know what you do? You just pray for him anyway. Right. I did. I prayed for him anyway because, this is something my husband said to me one time. He said, whatever you say you don't want, that's exactly what you want. So if the person said no, inside they said yes. Now, not all the time, though, okay, right. People who are out there with what we're talking about with, sexual abuse. When you say no, you mean no. But I'm talking about like when I say, oh, I'm not like that. That's exactly how you are. Or, I find myself, I'm not going to eat after 7. And where am I at after 7? In front of the refrigerator getting something to eat. So we have to realize what we're thinking as well. And I just had to throw that in there for extra.
That's great.
Because, sometimes we're going to be rejected. Are we going to be okay if somebody rejects us? Are we going to be okay if somebody doesn't want what we have to offer? Are we going to really be okay? That's what this program is about. How can we stay at peace whether somebody loves you or not, right? Because we want to be liked by everybody. And Katie, me and you had fun one time up here. We did teaching on immune system. As a matter of fact, listening audience, we're going to be actually talking about that particular subject at the conference.
Yes.
And then we're going to be talking Friday night.
Yes.
So I want you to give them a little spoiler about what it is you're going to be talking about with me.
Okay. Well, thanks for, having me on the show. Nice to meet you, Steve. Well, we did have a good time, and we laughed a lot. But it's, about the immune system, how the immune system works, and we also know that diet and lifestyle affects the immune system, but probably most of all, how negative thoughts affect the immune system, and how that is the culprit of so many diseases. Just like with your book, The Spiritual Roots to Disease, with and how that affects that, and how we're going to talk and focus on that a lot and have fun with it also.
Right, because a merry heart does good like a medicine, and a broken spirit dries up the bones. Yes. Now, the drying up of the bones, we know, is where your immune system is. So if we can get our immune system all dried up, we're going to be sick. Our immune system needs to be strengthened. And how it gets strengthened is heal the marrow. And how do we heal the marrow? Come to the conference and you'll find out how.
Right.
We want to bring you in, and because seriously, that was one of my problems. I had candida, which was an autoimmune disease. And I didn't realize that it was a form of self-hatred. I didn't realize that I did it to myself. I thought it was the food I ate. Well, after I got through forgiving somebody that I didn't even know I need to forgive, the next day I was able to eat watermelon and a banana without doubling over in pain. I knew then something happened. It happened immediately. When you cooperate with God and He does His part, His is fast. It's us dragging to God to get it figured out. And that's what we do in ministry, is we're trying to bring people into the presence of God. What was it? 2 Timothy talks about that, where God will give them truth so that they can recover themselves. So we're bringing them in, God gives them the truth so that they can recover themselves. Wow, I like that.
Yes.
I mean, then we're not responsible for everything. Because do you ever have a ministry with somebody and you're trying to tell them something and they don't look like they're getting it? How does that make you feel? I mean, do you think you're going to help them anymore, or how does that work for you?
I'd like to tell you I never get frustrated.
Okay.
But
are you being sarcastic?
I'd like to tell you.
Oh, you like to tell me I don't get frustrated.
Yeah,
okay.
absolutely.
All right.
There's a sense of frustration when you see people who need to be doing things and they're not.
And they're not, especially when you spent time. Any ministers out there, you spent time and effort with these individuals, and then you call them up 2 weeks later, so how are you doing? Well, aren't you doing what we talked about? You're not? Click. You know, we go, wow, you know what though? That's not what the Bible says. It says, a servant of the Lord must not strive, but be patient, apt to teach all men. So that's where, even though we have people that need help, we also need to, we're learning, we're growing, right? We're not, we haven't arrived, because I'm telling you, sometimes it's like pulling teeth sometimes to get people to do anything. But here's the fun part. We don't have to get people to do anything. We do our part. We can water and plant. Like you said, you plant seeds. Somebody else is going to come along and water. And God gives the increase. It's not even our responsibility to follow behind them to see if they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. Who's to say what they're supposed to be doing anyway? We just can speak the word. Right. So is there something that you would like to tell the audience yourself about the immune system and having a merry heart that does good like a medicine?
Well, yes, I mean, what you talked about, we had a lot of fun talking about it last time, singing and a joyful time. But part of restoring your life and healing your life, just like we used to come to our chapel, and we called it doing the Linda Lange thing. Yeah. Where, the whole part about forgiveness and letting go and how that affects the immune system, so much so. And so we're going to be helping people to learn that and to be free. Part of Steve's ministry is it's all part of the same ministry about freeing a person, just because God is a God that heals, and so that's what we're going to be talking about.
And so Steve, you actually your topic at the conference is going to be healing the
spiritual cancer.
Spiritual cancer. Okay, so can you give us just a little bit about what you're talking about there?
Sure. The childhood abuse, whether it's sexual abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse, abandonment, verbal abuse, creates a spiritual cancer. Excuse me. And the key is to identify the pieces of the puzzle that make up that spiritual cancer, and then there are steps to the healing process that they have to
I want you to give me one step, one little piece of the puzzle. You show me this big puzzle, so just give us a little example of one step.
Absolutely. So shame.
Shame.
Shame is probably universal for anyone who has any childhood abuse. And the shame, of course, is not about what happened, it's about who I am. And so identifying that shame is a lingering thing that impacts just about everything you do is part of the healing process.
Do you think that shame impacts your health?
Absolutely.
What do you think it does?
Well, shame is part of that spiritual cancer which spreads through your body, and I think it keeps you from having a positive outlook on life, because you're always focused on your negatives, and so that drains your energy, among other things that you guys will be talking about.
Right, so we're going to be, matter of fact, Friday night, we're going to be kind of doing a tag team, and we're going to have a little fun that night, kind of a network, kind of get things moving, get people to come back the next day, because, when you go and you just sit to listen to somebody that's talking out of a book, you don't want to go there. I'll just give you the book.
Right.
Matter of fact, hey, we got lots of books. You go to my website, and I got over 30 books that deal with things. Matter of fact, here's one right here. Traumas and PTSD, which a lot of this we're talking about, how to get free from the past pains and hurts. My husband was a Vietnam veteran. He was wounded and a disabled veteran, and he's in here talking about how he got freed. He got free. And it was like he had that going on for many, many years. You know, I was years ago that he went through that. And so I've been married to him for 27 years now, and it's been amazing to watch the Lord heal him in that area of dealing with those traumas.
Absolutely.
Because every abuse issue is a trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Everything that happens comes from a traumatic experience. And if we don't know how to deal with it, we're going to go into our adult life and not know how to handle it. And we get into these toxic relationships and wonder why I attract, you know, icky people into a relationship. It's because the stuff is still in me, and it's spirit to spirit. That spirit is seeing what's going on in me, and that's what meets, not the people. We're in a spiritual fight, not
Right.
man to man, flesh and blood. It is spirit to spirit. So we've got to deal with those issues of the heart in order to attract the right people, in order to have a better relationship with yourself, with God, and with others. So we're going to take a quick break in a moment, and we will be right